Okay, this is the homework help video for Math 3 Unit 5 Worksheet 10, and I'm going to start with question number 2. So for question number 2, they want me to find f of g of x. So this is the same thing as, f over g of x. So that is the same thing as f of x divided by g of x. So I just rewrote it, and then now I'm going to do my substitution. So what does f of x equal? It's equal to this equation right here. So I'm going to replace f of x with x squared plus 3x minus 10. And then all over g of x. And what does g of x equal? It equals x minus 2. So I'm going to substitute g of x with x minus 2. And then whenever I have a fraction, I always want to see, can I factor and reduce? So for the numerator, I can factor that because it's a quadratic, and so I can rewrite this into its factors. This does not have a squared term and no GCF, so it's going to stay x minus 2. So here my factors of 10 are 1 and 10 and 2 and 5, and the pair of numbers that will work are going to be 2 and 5. And I want 5 to be positive and 2 to be negative. Right, so all I'm doing are looking for my factors of 10 and x squared. So with 1 and 10 and 2 and 5, I know it's real small, but 2 and 5 will be the pair that I want to use, and 2 would have to be negative to get a negative 10 when I multiply and a positive 3 when I add. And so these factors are the same, so they reduce down to 1. And so then my final answer is x plus 5. And then my excluded values are x cannot equal 2. Okay, how did I get that? It's because here in my denominator, I don't want that to equal 0, so x cannot be 2. So my domain would be all real numbers except for 2. And then for question number 4, I'm looking to do a composite function, right? That's what the open dot means, so I want to rewrite that. So this would be the same as h of g of x. So now I want to do substitution. So I want to see what does g of x equal. So I'm looking to replace this for an expression, right? I don't want to leave it as g of x. So if I look up here, g of x is equal to x minus 2. So I want to do a substitution for that. So instead of g of x, I'm going to rewrite that as x minus 2. So I replaced g of x with x minus 2. So now the next thing I want to do, okay, is I want to look to see, well, what does h of x equal? Okay, so I'm just going to write that next to it right here. So I'm looking up here just to give me some room. So I know h of x from the directions is the same as the square root of x. So what I want to do here is anywhere I see an x, I want to replace it with x minus 2, right? So I'm going to replace x minus 2 in for the x's that I have over here, right? Because that's what they're wanting me to do. So where there's an x, I replace with x minus 2. So then I know that h of x minus 2 is equal to the square root of, instead of x, x minus 2. So all I did was take my h of x equation and replaced both of my x's here with x minus 2. Okay, question number 9. So this is another composite function, so they want me to find g of h of 9. So I'm just going to rewrite this. So this is the same thing as g of h of 9. So I'm going to start with h of 9, right? I want to start from the inside, work my way out, and I want to figure out what is h of 9. So I'm going to do that part first. And I know that h of x, from my problem I just got done doing and looking at the top of the directions, I know h of x is the square root of x. So instead of h of x equaling the square root of x, I have h of 9 equaling the square root of 9. So I'm going to replace the x with 9. And I know that square root of 9 is 3. So now I know h of 9 is the same as 3. So that becomes my new input value. So now I'm going to replace h of 9 with 3. So this is g and then of 3. So what did I do? All I did was solve and get a number answer for here. And that number answer, which was 3, I'm going to put into my g equation. So g of x, I'm just going to write that off to the side here, is equal to x minus 2. Let me zoom out a little so you can see where I'm getting all of that information from. So back in the original problem, g of x is x minus 2, so this is from the directions. Right? So that's where I got that from. So now I'm going to replace x with 3. So g of 3 equals, instead of x minus 2, it will be 3 minus 2. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. And then that is my final answer. Okay? So 1 is my final solution. So I put 9 into h, right? So 9 went into h, and that's how I got square root of 9, which was 3. And then now 3 goes into g, and 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, then the back side. Okay, number 17. So for question number 17, I'm given two different functions here, and I want to find f of g of a. So I'm just going to rewrite this. So this is the same as f of g of a. So the first thing they want me to do is take a and substitute it into g, right, and get a result here. So here's my g of x equation. So I want to replace a with my x. So instead of x, instead of my x's, I'm going to use a, right, because that's an a there. So I'm finding this part first. So g of a, so replace x with a, replace x with a is a plus 1. So then I know that g of a, so this portion right here, is equal to a plus 1, right? Because g of a is a plus 1. So I'm going to do a substitution. So instead of writing the left side, I'm going to write the right side. So g of a is a plus 1. And so now I need to find f of a plus 1. So I have to figure out what is f of a plus 1. So that means I'm going to replace my x on this equation here with a plus 1. So this x is replaced with a plus 1. So this x here also is going to be replaced with a plus 1. So instead of x squared, it's going to become a plus 1 squared. So I have f of something is equal to something squared. So f of something is equal to something squared. And then that's my final answer.